Welcome to the Worcester Senior Center. Happy, healthy New Year, everybody. And today we're kicking off our Worcester Senior Center Distinguished Speaker Series. Let's begin with thanking our sponsors today because we cannot put on these programs without them. Fallon Health, Kim Miles, Vibra Hospital, and Michelle Morin from Lutheran, who will be passing out mock margaritas as well as raffle prizes. Holy Trinity and Amy McClune for sponsoring today's decorations, and our volunteers Dot Sweeney and Steve Duke for making this room look so festive and warm. So here is a famous quote from Jimmy Buffett. I am inspired by people who keep rolling no matter what age. Worcester Senior Center participants inspire our staff and this whole city every day, including getting yourselves out of bed this AM in the freezing cold to learn, smile, and socialize here. So give yourselves all a huge applause for coming out today. Continue to visit us here at the Worcester Senior Center, and let's thrive in 2025. Please welcome our beloved fitness instructor for today's Distinguished Speaker Series. Rhonda Hammer, owner of Prime Movement Fitness and Nutrition, leads our osteo maintenance classes as well as prerequisite osteoporosis beginner classes. She also leads the seated strength, stretch, and core classes on Fridays. Upcoming one-time programs will be in the newsletter, improve posture and build better balance. So look out for those classes coming soon. Rhonda is available for private health nutrition coaching and personal training for an hourly fee. She has an office on site here at the Worcester Senior Center, so please contact her or please ask me if you need any other information. Let's give Rhonda Hammer a huge, warm applause.
Good chilly morning to you all. So you may have seen this program listed in the scoop. The title may have changed a bit. So we're going to talk today, New Year, New Nutrition, Small Habits for Big Change. Of course, I want to thank the Senior Center for allowing me to be here. I always love doing these things. And if you're interested, at least per today, I have a lot of alphabet soup after my name. I'm a certified health coach, I'm a certified personal trainer, I'm a certified fitness specialist, and I'm a certified nutrition coach. A lot of C's in there. So most importantly, Happy New Year. So I have to ask, New Year's resolutions. Did anybody make any? Show of hands. Did you make a resolution? No? Okay. So by show of hands, thumbs up, you think they're great. Thumbs down, you don't think they're good. Thumbs up, anybody think they're great? Thumbs down? Okay. Tell me a reason why. So you feel free to yell out. Tell me a reason why. Here's me not tripping over my cord. Tell me why you would make a New Year's resolution. Get better at something, right? Why else would you make a New Year's resolution? Way in the back. To get organized. Why else? Live every day to the utmost. I like that. Why would you choose not to make a New Year's resolution? Oh, I got a lot of answers to that one.
I don't think you should make resolutions because people don't keep them.
You're right. People don't keep them. Goals. All right, so make goals instead of resolutions. Any other reasons not to make a resolution? Do it, but yeah, maybe don't name it, right? Is that Edith way back there raising her hand for me? She's not paying attention now. All right, so some of you think it's great, some of you don't. So we did a thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you know what last Friday was? Last Friday was the second Friday in January. It has an official name. It's National Quitters Day. And we're just not quitting anything. We're quitting our resolutions. So I'll tell you why. There's reasons resolutions don't work for most people. Not everybody, but some people. They're too big. I'm going to lose 50, 100 pounds. I'm going to walk 900 miles every day. I'm going to drink a lot of water. I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to start doing that, right? It's not how we hit January 1st. I'm going to do all those things. And then by January 10th, you go, too much. It's too much, right? Can't do it. Too much stress. So 79% of all New Year's resolutions are health-based. That's food, beverage, movement, and then things regarding tobacco and drug use. And that's usually to quit them, not add them, just so you know, right? We're trying to quit tobacco and drugs, not add them into. But 79%. So if 79% of our resolutions are health-based, and most people quit by the 10th day of the month or the second Friday of the month, how many people are keeping resolutions? Probably not a lot. So because they're health-based, I want to talk specifically about the nutrition-based resolutions. So what is nutrition? It's the process of providing or obtaining food necessary for health or growth. Like, here's your guide to good nutrition, okay? The diet refers to what you consume. My diet consists of white rice and Twinkies. So if that's your diet, there's no nutrition, not a lot of nutrition in that, right? It's we get the nutrition. We utilize the food for growth, metabolism, repair of tissues. So it is the means of obtaining health. We need good nutrition to have good health. Would anybody disagree with that? Can you have good health with bad nutrition? Only if you're really, really lucky, all right? So nutrition comes down to what we eat. How does nutrition influence or affect us? So cognitive function, if you've ever been to any of my classes and I make you do coordination drills, what do I call them? I call them cognitive function training, right? It works on our thought and our memory. It also influences our bodies in big ways. Food affects our energy levels. Have you ever not eaten, and what happens? You feel really sluggish. You feel tired and foggy, right? What you eat and what you choose not to eat can affect your sleep. How do you feel when you don't sleep? Pretty crummy, right? So here's an example. If I eat a ton of chocolate and 5 glasses of red wine before I go to bed, am I going to sleep well? No. And then I wake up the next morning and I feel pretty crummy, right? And now I just want something that makes me feel better. So I'm going to have a donut. So it's this cyclical thing. If I sleep better, I choose better. If I choose better, I sleep better. Also, our muscle and bone strength, all my osteoporosis people, right? All that stuff we take into our bodies affects our muscles and bones. We need strong muscles for strong bones. And then what we eat also affects our illness and wellness. I'm thinking most of us would like to be well and not ill, correct? Right. So put on your best Jimmy Buffett thinking cap for a second. Does that look familiar? That's that cheeseburger in paradise. I even put the lyrics up for you. Tried to mend my carnivorous habits. Made it nearly 70 days. Losing weight without speed, eating sunflower seeds, drinking lots of carrot juice and soaking up rays. But at night, I have these wonderful dreams of some kind of sensuous treat. Not zucchini, fettuccine, or bulgur wheat, but a big warm bun and a huge hunk of meat. Cheeseburger in paradise. Your turn, say paradise. Heaven on earth with an onion slice. Not too particular, not too precise. I'm just a cheeseburger in. I like mine with lettuce and tomato, Heinz 57 and French fries, potatoes, big kosher pickle and a cold draft beer. Well, good gosh almighty, which way do I steer for my cheeseburger in? Right. So, does that feel like a healthy meal to you? Does that mean I can never eat that? No. Enjoy the cheeseburger, especially if you're in paradise, especially with the Heinz 57 and the French fries and the pickle and the draft, right? But that doesn't what makes a healthy diet day to day. So what does make a healthy diet? Balance. So for those of you who do fitness classes with me, not that kind of balance. This is a different kind of balance. This is not the not fall over balance. So what does balance in diet look like? That means fruits, vegetables, grains, proteins, and dairy. I want to back up 2 slides. I want to back up to that cheeseburger in paradise. Is there a protein in there? Yeah. Is there a dairy product in there? Yes. Are there vegetables in there? Lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle, right? Maybe even a little bit in the ketchup, or in the Heinz 57. If you're counting tomatoes as a fruit, there's a fruit in there, right? Is there a starch in there? It's actually 3 of them. The beer, the fries, and the bun, right? So it's not a wholly unbalanced meal, but we all agree it's not the best meal, right? Maybe, what do we replace those French fries with? A salad, I like that. What could you replace that draft beer with? Big glass of water, right? Do you need to use the Heinz 57? Maybe not. And then we eat the cheeseburger just as is. Or make it as a smaller cheeseburger. That is a really large cheeseburger. So there's our balance: fruit, vegetables, grains, proteins, dairy. How many of us eat like that at every single meal? Not me. Not me. Okay. But we're also looking for variety. And I joke about this. So my husband, I'm going to pick on my poor husband. He has the same thing for breakfast and the same thing for lunch every single day. White rice, chicken for lunch, a bagel and cream cheese for breakfast. He does not care what his wife does for a living. That's what he has. I cook dinner, so he has a variety in dinner. Is that variety providing a broad base of nutrients? No, it's getting the same thing every single day, right? So variety is important. It can help reduce the risk of chronic disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Think to yourself, has my life been affected by any of those? So we need a little variety in our diets. Okay. We've heard this before. Fruits and vegetables, eat the rainbow. Nutritionally speaking, red grapes and green grapes are very similar. But the red grapes have that purple outside, so it's a little bit richer in antioxidants. So mixing it up a little bit, even if you just like grapes, think about maybe I buy the red grapes today instead of the green grapes. But we're going to try and eat all the colors of the rainbow: purple, red, yellow, green. There's no blue foods, even though blueberries say they're blue, they're really purple. Okay. Grains, try different varieties. There's brown rice, there's quinoa, there's, what else other grains does anybody eat? Anybody know? Teff, yeah, that's a good one too. Bulgur wheat. Jimmy Buffett tried it. It didn't stick, apparently. Wheat berries, yep. That's similar to bulgur, right? All sorts of things to try. And then protein, lean meats. If you don't eat meat, that's fine. Tofu, soy, nuts, seeds, dairy, legumes, and beans. Those are great options, okay? But we want to do all those things in moderation. What does moderation mean to you? Does moderation mean, all right, so anybody went to a restaurant recently? Anybody gotten pasta at a restaurant? By show of hands, show me the size of the serving you got. Yeah, it was this big. I got a pasta serving at a restaurant recently. I could have fed 4 people with it. It was huge. So that was not served to me in moderation. But yeah, once in a while, it's okay. So what does that mean for our overall diet? Whoops, there we go. So looking to 2 to 3 servings of fruit. Half of those should be whole fruit. So an orange versus an orange juice. Think to yourself, I know I had raspberries this morning. There's one. One whole small apple, not the apples that you buy that are this big. That's probably 2 servings. We're looking for 3 servings of fruit, 2 to 3 servings of fruit. 5 servings of vegetables, a whole cup of vegetables, 5 times a day. That's a lot, right? 3 servings of protein. So everybody, if you put up your hand and just your palm, just this part, that's a serving of protein, not your fingers, just your palm, and about the same thickness. That's 3 servings. As we age, we tend to eat less protein, and significantly less than we need. So we want to add in some protein. And then half of your grains should be whole grains. So white bread, right? Not a whole grain. Whole wheat bread is a whole grain. Right? Now the 3 servings of dairy, that's kind of optional if you don't drink dairy products. We don't worry about it. Don't eat. But cheese, yogurt, cottage cheese, those will count. And then we want to limit things. We want to limit our sugar, limit our sodium, limit our saturated fats, That's usually found in your fattier meats, caffeine, and alcohol. Does everybody here know how much they weigh or have a guess on how much you weigh? All right, I'm going to challenge your math skills. Divide that amount in half. If you weigh 150 pounds, half of that is 75 pounds, right? That's how many ounces of water a day you should be drinking. Yeah, well, drink up. There's pitchers on your table. Let's all take a sip. Cheers. Have a little sip. Right? So that's hard to get in. That's a cup of tea. That's a cup of coffee. That's a whole lot of water with each meal. We need to stay hydrated. Your skin will thank you. Right now it's dry out, right? It's dry with a cold. Your skin will thank you, but so will your brain. Your brain needs that water. So we're looking at variety, balance, and moderation. Okay, quick, everybody thinks to yourself, all right, I'm gonna make a New Year's resolution. I gotta do all those things. That was a lot, right? You're probably thinking to yourself, okay, I have to add this, I have to add that, I have to take away this. I need to add more water, right? So that's a lot. So what if you created one small, teeny tiny habit at a time? So either a resolution you already have or something that may have came out of what I've said. Does anybody have a change that they'd like to make that they wouldn't mind sharing with the group? Anyone? What would you like to change, Lisa? Drink more water. We're going to pretend you drink no water during the day. That's almost true, she says. Okay, so she drinks almost no water. How many ounces a day do you think you should be drinking? So she should be drinking 90 ounces of water. She's going to go from 0 to 90. Right? Every day, the rest of your life. Is that going to happen? Probably not. Because I said before, it's too big. So how do we help you create that habit? And I love that. It's a great habit. Okay? How to create a new habit. Think of the thing that you want. Lisa's going to go with water. What are the rest of you going to think? Think something to yourself. What is that habit I want? And then think of adding, not subtracting. So if you drink other things during the day, tea, coffee, nothing. Okay. So for you, that's an easy add. If you drank, let's say you drank orange juice and coffee and tea, you wouldn't have to take that away. We're just going to add water. Okay? It's always easier to add something. What happens when I tell you you can't have something? Now you want it much, much more, right? Now work that down to the smallest happen possible to make that happen. So not just you, but everybody. How can we make that 90 ounces of water happen from 0 to 90? What's the smallest thing we can do there? Add a few ounces per day. I like that. That's a good option. What else? Good. So when your instructor says to you, go take a beverage break, go drink some water, drink the water. So that's a good option. Yeah. So you want to add it to your day. Let's think smaller. Smaller. I love this little cup. Right? Could you add this to your day? Does this feel like an overwhelming amount of water? I only filled it a third of the way up. It's not a lot of water. How often should you do it? Well, I like every hour, but there's a lot of hours in a day. There's 168 hours in a week, right? You're going to sleep for a third of them if you're lucky, right? We want to bring this down to the smallest thing possible. Whoops, wrong way. So we're going to do this very, very teeny tiny thing. 2 days this week, drink a 4-ounce cup of water before you start your day. Is that reasonable? Is that tiny? That's pretty tiny. What if I said 1 day? That's even smaller. What if I said 2 ounces? 2 ounces 1 day this week, and then you got it and you did it. Woohoo! Wait, ready? Let's celebrate. All right, so we did it. Little teeny tiny. So once you succeed with that, what do we do next? Either more days or more water. I like the idea of more days. So I'm going to do it 2 days next week. Teeny tiny. But our goals need to be what we call SMART. We're all smart people, so we're going to create SMART goals. Let's see if the goal we created for you was a SMART goal. I'm going to drink 4 ounces of water 1 day this week when I get up. What has to happen for that to happen? You have to have the water and something to put it in. And you have to remember to take your pills with it, so this is a good option for that, right? So we want our goals to be SMART. What does that mean? Specific. Was that a very specific goal? Very specific, right? We want it to be measurable. How do we measure that goal? I filled this cup on Thursday morning, and it was gone by Thursday mid-morning. I can measure that. It's 4 ounces, it's a little cup, right? That's a very measurable thing. And it's 1 week. That's a measurable amount of time, right? Is it attainable? Is that something you feel like you could realistically do? So if it feels like something you can realistically do, it's attainable. If I said drink 90 ounces today before lunch, that's not an attainable thing. Okay? Is it realistic? Here's my favorite. I want to lose 15 pounds by Friday. It's very specific. It's very measurable. It's not attainable, right? It's not realistic. And then it needs to be, where'd we go? Time-bound. What does that mean by time-bound? I gave you a deadline. Drink 4 ounces of water 1 day this week in the morning. That is a very SMART goal. So does anybody else have a goal they want to workshop down and we can make that smaller? What do you want to do? Let's take those big, giant New Year's resolutions and let's make it into a small, teeny, tiny SMART goal. All right, losing weight, that's a great one. I'm in that category. I'd like to lose some weight. How's that? Is that a good? That's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to lose weight. Is that specific? Not at all. Well, it is, but yes, I want to lose weight. How much? How much weight do I think I need to lose? Let's say I want to lose 15 pounds. That's measurable, right? I can measure that. This year, I've got 11 and a half months left, right? Is it attainable? Yeah. If I said I wanted to lose it by Friday, that's not attainable. Is it realistic? Sure, right? I have no reason not to be able to lose 15 pounds, so it's realistic for me. Is it time-bound? No. I mean, it says a year. Where's the motive take? Let's see, if we're 2 weeks into the year, that leaves 50 weeks left. 15 pounds divided by 50 weeks. That's almost a negligible amount. That's almost hard to measure, right? Is that going to motivate me and move me along? What's a realistic time-bound amount of period to lose 15 pounds? Let's say, that's a week. Let's say 6 months. 6 months, 4 months, 6 months. I like that. 4 to 6 months. Okay? It sounds pretty specific and measurable. Sounds attainable, realistic, and time-bound. But, whoops. Remember I said don't trip on the cord? Is it the smallest, tiniest thing I can do? Okay, so how do I bring that down to a smaller goal? What are the things I need to do to make that happen? We talked about the things we needed to do to make that water happen. We need access to clean water. We need a cup. Right? We need those things. What do I need for 15 pounds of loss? What do I need to do? Lose a pound a week? Sure. How am I doing that? Right? That's not the hard question. Sure, I need to exercise. Okay? Is there a better way to lose 15 pounds than exercise is good for us. It's changing my diet. Okay, so let's say I'm going to change my diet because I want to lose 15 pounds in 4 months. Is it still very specific? Right? Is it specific enough? No. Right? So what would I need to know before I can make that goal? What am I doing now? What am I doing now that's not allowing me to reach that goal? So it's kind of being aware and being mindful of what we're doing, right? You could write it down, take pictures. I take pictures of my food. I could have put food pictures up here for you, right? And kind of look at it and go, oh, right. It looks like a cheeseburger in paradise. It doesn't look like a bowl of oatmeal with raspberries. So maybe we're making choices. We want to take those big, giant things and make them teeny tiny things. I'm going to come down to saying I'm going to add, not subtract. I'm going to add a vegetable to my dinner every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Is that going to help? Yeah. Is it tiny? All right. Do I have the vegetables? Ooh, all right. So I have to go to the store. When do I go to the store? I go to the store on Sunday. So on Sunday, I'm going to go to the store and buy enough vegetables for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I can have one vegetable at dinner those 3 days. Right? Now I've gotten really specific. I've taken out all the guesswork of how are those vegetables going to end up on my plate. Ready? They're going to go like this and go, look, there they are. That's not going to work that way, right? Sounds good? All right. And what happens when I get to Friday, and I've done it all 3 times? I was specific, I measured it, I attained it, it was realistic, it was time-bound. I reached my habit, now what? You got it! Celebrate, woohoo! Do I have to wait till I lose all the 15 pounds to celebrate? No. What does my celebration need to look like? All right, we're going to have a big party because I had 4 vegetables this week. And we're going to do this, okay? Every time I have a vegetable on my plate for dinner. That's not going to happen, right? If it's a teeny tiny accomplishment with a teeny tiny goal, what should our celebration be? Teeny tiny. Ready? Woohoo! That's it. So everybody ready? You showed up here for a conversation about nutrition and changing your nutrition, changing your habits. Is that a success of any kind? Okay, ready? Woohoo! Everybody. It also gets you moving in your seats. Woohoo! Right? So this is how we want to approach all these goals. What do I do next? What's the next step? Add another vegetable. Oh wait, I'm going to add something else. I want to add a fruit. I'm going to add. If anybody trying to add vegetables to your breakfast? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to add veggies to your breakfast. If you do scrambled eggs, you can put vegetables in that, but it is hard to add vegetables to breakfast. So that one might not be realistic for me. So where do these ideas of these teeny tiny habits come from? It comes from a man by the name of B.J. Fogg. He has a book, it's called Tiny Habits, and he uses the example of flossing your teeth. So let's pretend nobody here flosses their teeth, but everybody here brushes their teeth. I would like to create the habit of flossing my teeth. I want to add those 2 habits together. He calls it habit stacking. I brush my teeth, now I'm going to add flossing to it. All right, you've never flossed your teeth before. Here's a roll of floss. I want you to floss twice a day every day. All of your teeth. It's a little overwhelming, especially if you've never done it before. So his suggestion, and his example he uses in his book, is start with you brush your teeth, floss 1 tooth. And then make a decision, I'm going to floss 1 tooth 1 day this week. And then when you do it, what do? Woohoo! We celebrate, right? And then you set a new goal. Now I'm going to floss 2 teeth. And over time, what happens? You have a new habit that you are flossing and brushing your teeth every day. Every time you brush your teeth, you're flossing your teeth. So that's his design of doing that. Taking those really teeny tiny steps and putting them together. So we didn't habit stack for your water. How do we habit stack? What habit do you already have? And you mentioned a good option, taking medication or a vitamin. If you do that every day, that's a good option. What habit do you have that you can add this to your day? I hear way in the back. Who's that? Oh, hey. What habit can you add to that too? All right, I like that. So if you have a drink of any kind, you have a little bit of glass of water first. You already said you're not drinking anything. So what are you doing during the day that you could potentially, no, I'm not putting you on the spot. We don't all need to know about your day from start to finish if you don't wish us to. can you do during the course of your day that you can add a simple 1 glass of water? Eat. Does everybody eat? Yeah, you sure? Everybody eats? Okay. So before a meal, you could add, and if it feels overwhelming to do it at every meal, pick a meal. I'm going to do this on Thursday's lunch. Wait, let's do Wednesday's lunch. I'm going to add a glass of water before I eat my lunch. So I have been to several of these before. Fortunately, our med students that were visiting back in the fall are not here today. You all get a lovely giant pitcher of water on your tables. Yeah, I know this because I tipped it over on a med student last fall, and it went everywhere. It was completely full, and that was at the end. That was during the lunch portion of this. So let's have a goal today. Let's see if we can empty these water pitchers. Not by spilling them on your neighbors like I did, by drinking them, even if it's just a half a glass. Have some of that water. It's good for your brain, right? So who here feels like they can do that? Can you drink a half a glass of water before lunch today? I'll ask that again. Who thinks they can have a half a glass of water today before lunch? There we go. That's a little better. And what are you going to do when you drink it? Woohoo! Right? We're going to have a little celebration. It could be a little dance. It could be a big wave of your hands. You can say, I am awesome. You can say whatever you want. And Mr. Fogg's theory is that when we do that and have that little celebration, that teeny tiny celebration makes us feel good about it. Doesn't it feel good to accomplish a goal? Right? Teeny tiny goals. So we'll celebrate. I'm going to quote Jimmy Buffett as well. Those changes in latitudes become changes in attitudes, and nothing remains quite the same. Right? So I have questions. So it says questions. These aren't your questions for me. These are my questions for you. Okay? What do you see as a barrier or a challenge to creating a healthy habit? To creating healthy eating choices? Is there a barrier? I see a hand way in the back. What's a barrier to changing healthy eating habits? Just like fruit. That's okay. Will anybody have a poor health outcome if they don't like fruit? No. Do you like vegetables? Add the vegetables, don't worry about the fruit. Right? Are there other barriers to helping you create healthy eating choices? Yes. Stress. Yeah, when you're stressed, you go for the Twinkies and the Doritos and the box of chocolates and all the other stuff. And the cheeseburger in paradise, right? So, what's that? Yeah, sometimes when you stress, you eat the bread or the other carbohydrates. So those could be barriers. What are some other barriers to change? Yeah. Preparation. Anybody here who's cooking for 1 or 2 people? Right? Who wants to stand there and chop all those vegetables just for yourself? Nobody? I do because it's my hobby. I love to cook, so I don't mind doing it, but cost. Perfect. Cost. Sometimes, not always, healthy food can be expensive. Cooking for one is not fun. It's not easy. Oh, I don't want to waste food because it costs money, right? Those are some barriers or challenges to creating healthy eating choices. I live in a household with 3 adults, and you already know one of them doesn't eat what I eat. And the 23-year-old doesn't always want what I make. We all made the decision together, beginning of this year, that I'm not cooking for anybody anymore. I live here. I'm me. Yeah, right? Yay, me. I do cook. I cook for me, and I will offer, hey, I made this. Would you like some of it? Great. Or I'm going to make this. Is this something you would like? You do? I'll make more, because I was making enough for me. So that's one question. Here's another question for you. What possible solutions do you see to these barriers? For me, a barrier was having the food that I wanted, that I knew was healthy for me. And the barrier, the challenge was not feeding everybody else in the house. Hey, I'm no longer a short order cook in my house anymore. So do you have possible solutions? If you're living alone, do you have a neighbor who's also alone? You could make one dish, and they could make a dish, and you divide it in half and switch. Right? So you get tired of eating the same thing all the time. You're looking for some healthy options. This is a great option. Come here and get something different, right? What changes do you see yourself making? If I said you all have to have broccoli every day, 3 meals a day, do you see yourself making that change? Yeah, no, me either. I love broccoli, but not that much. So what changes do you see yourself making? It could be something I've never even mentioned. How do you change your nutrition? Make a plan. Absolutely. Have a plan. And if that plan is hard to make, there's people like me who can help you with that. And if you see yourself making a change, what is the smallest step you can make to get there? So if I say I have this much money to buy my food every week, well, I know this I buy every week costs that. Well, maybe I take that money and set it aside and buy something different. When my youngest, who's now 23, was little, we went to the grocery store, and every week we chose a new piece of produce that we've never tried before. We both came to the conclusion star fruit is boring. We didn't like star fruit. We both decided the skin has to come off the kiwi, right? Yeah. Some people eat with the skin on. So one kiwi, 1 star fruit. So we traded. I was like, what are we not going to get this week? Well, maybe we don't need as many apples if we're going to buy star fruit. So swapping things out once in a while. And regarding cost, don't overlook the frozen and the canned section. They're frozen and canned at the peak of their freshness. It's a great option. Okay? Use your freezer. But what is the smallest step you can make to make changes? And then, how will you celebrate? Maybe you a little run in place, maybe you do a jumping jack, maybe you say, I am awesome, whatever it is. But, most importantly, never underestimate the importance of small steps. I'm going to lose 15 pounds. That's this guy trying to reach that bottom rung, right? What if you took much smaller steps and his friend made it to the top? Right? So we have time left for some questions, thoughts, ideas. Ask me anything. Yep.
If you seduce your brain, you kind of condition your brain, you kind of walk yourself into it, it works. I've given that idea to many people, plus the brain research backs it up. You seduce your brain with something that you like to do, even if it is knitting or just talking to your friend. It doesn't have to be a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back to the water thing. I need a glass of water. I love to knit, okay? So if I want to sit down and do something I love to do, I'm going to have that glass of water first and then reward myself with that little brain seduction to say, hey, this is good for me. I want to do this. Every time I drink this water, I get to knit for another 15 minutes. Okay? Any other thoughts, questions, ideas? Yes.
I think alongside, for kids where they get stickers.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, stickers aren't just for kids. So you can make yourself a chart, stick it on the refrigerator, and give yourself a sticker every time you reach one of those small goals. And then you have a visual reminder, look, I am succeeding. I am doing well. I am meeting these really teeny tiny goals I had, and I can celebrate. And it could be as simple as a sticker. What do I do when the whole thing is full of stickers? Have a bigger party. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas, concerns? Nutrition thoughts. Any thoughts on nutrition?
And I have a vegetable garden.
Right, so share the excess. Frank's growing all sorts of stuff in his yard. If you figure out where he is, he's got fruit to share. Unless you don't like fruit. If you don't like fruit, don't worry about it. But yeah, and it is fun to say, hey, look, I grew these blueberries. And you get to be proud of the work you did, too. Say, look, I'm going to share these with you. Right?
Yeah, I bring extra food to the food bank.
Yep, food bank. Yep. Sharing is good. Sharing makes us feel good, too, right? Right? Feels good to the brain. Yes.
When people go grocery shopping, don't forget to put produce aisle
Oh, yeah.
on the carts because you can get a lot of produce.
Yeah. Reduced produce, reduced bakery items. There's a reduced deli section. There's a reduced meat section. If it's gray, don't buy it. Okay? But yes, so you can save yourself a little bit of money. You can share with others. Yes? I don't cook. That's a challenge. So I guess you live on cereal and milk and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Close? Okay, so not cooking. Who has a solution to not cooking? Find a friend who likes to cook, right? Find a neighbor who likes to cook. See if something you can share. Maybe you have someone who needs help with something and you can swap. Or say, hey, here's $20. Please make me something, right? What I'm glad I didn't hear anybody say, oh, just go out. Just pick up the pre-made stuff at the store. Now, going out is expensive. Pre-made stuff is also expensive, but they tend to be high in something else. Sodium, salt, you got it. They tend to be high, and also empty calories. So based on our definition of nutrition, do I want empty calories? No. I want nutrient-dense calories. What does that mean? This has fiber in it. Should you eat it? No. I want something that tastes good and has more nutrition in it. It might have fiber, but there's no nutrients in that piece of paper, right? Okay. So not cooking. I have a thought. You could take a cooking class. You could take a cooking class. Cooking for One. You can get a book at the library on Cooking for One. And then when you learn how to make one or two things, most recipes serve how many people? Yeah, sometimes 2 to 4, sometimes 4 to 8. I have one particular recipe that I didn't realize when I first made it served 16. I went, oh, wow, okay, what do I do with all this? Freezer's my friend. The freezer is your friend. Okay? You make this one thing and divide it up, and you can pop things in the freezer. So, not cooking. Salmon, that's a great thing to cook. Perfect. So there's a fancy word for that when you make when you make food in advance. It's called meal prep. It's a very in thing to do right now, called meal prep. We all used to call it something else. Leftovers, you got it. We used to call it leftovers. Now it's called meal prep. It's a very fancy thing to do. It's to make your meals in advance and have them ready for you in the refrigerator. But that's a great way to do it. But if you wanted to add a grain to that, so you just did salmon. All right, so there are individual serving things or easy to cook things in the stores. The freezer section, even the dry section, the rice that has this quick little thing you pop in the microwave and it's done. If you don't like the microwave, there's some other things too. The microwave is good, right? If you don't cook, I bet you the microwave is great. But yes, don't overlook the freezer section. Lots of good fresh food in the freezer section. If you have a condition you need to be keeping a track of your sodium, read the labels. And then bring your magnifying glass to read the labels. Or here's a cool trick. Use the camera on your phone, right? If you're using a phone, you could do that as well. Yeah. Yes?
Once a year, can we have a cheeseburger and fries once a year?
You can have it. I don't know about here. Here, I'm not. That's beyond. I can ask. I'll put a word in for you to have that cheeseburger in paradise. All right, for a reward here. You heard that, right? Powers that be, you heard that there's a request for cheeseburger and fries once a year here. Cheeseburger. That should be good cheeseburger and good fries, all right? Really good fries. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns, ideas, challenges, barriers? Other beverages do count towards your water. And water does not quench some people's thirst. Some people like it warm, some people like it with ice, and it helps. But adding a flavoring to your water is still water. Tea still counts as water. Yeah, lemon is great. Pop a lemon slice in there. Coffee counts, but those caffeinated beverages, you only get to count the first cup. Because the caffeine is now pulling water out of your body. So we're only going to count that first cup of coffee. But if you have a soup that is a broth-based soup, that counts as water. So it doesn't have to be just water. So I'm glad you asked that question. It doesn't have to be water. It can be, now if you're having a cup, now let's talk about a cup of coffee. A cup, when we're cooking and measuring, is 8 ounces. Do you know what an 8-ounce coffee looks like if you go to Dunkin' Donuts? About that big. This is about 6 cups of coffee. Especially if you're adding 3 creams, 6 creams, 8 sugars. It is no longer a coffee. But we gotta count that liquid. So even here, a cup of coffee, that counts as your liquid. After that, you gotta start adding some water. Caffeine makes us dehydrated, so we wanna make sure that we're getting enough water. Yes? So the question is, like artificial, some of the things that we put in our water have artificial sweeteners. Is it better to have the thing with the artificial sweetener than no water at all? Your body and your brain need the water. If the sweetener is what it takes to get there, then we can do that and we'll get the water in that way, and then we can start maybe adding something different that will start to take the place of that artificial sweetener. What's that? Yeah, fresh fruit added to the water. You can actually do cucumber slices as well. You could do, and you don't have to need a whole cucumber. You've made a little cucumber, take 2 slices and throw it in your water. Same with lemon. But to having that water, artificial sweeteners, is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? It's a thumbs down. If it's the only way that's going to help you get that water in, it's a great way to do that. I see some more hands, no? Propel water. So some of the waters that you buy on the market have electrolytes in them. I don't know if Propel is one of them. I'm not super familiar with it. Unless the doctor has told you otherwise. If a doctor has told you you need electrolytes, consume them. If you're not, and you're not sick, and you haven't had a gastrointestinal issue, you don't need it. I used to coach youth soccer, and I had kids that would show up. Sorry we're late. We had to stop at the store and buy more Gatorade. They're playing soccer for 45 minutes. They're only playing half the game. Do they really need an electrolyte? No, they need a glass of water. Unless they're playing a tournament and they're outside and it's 90. Electrolytes are meant to replace the salts and sugars in your body as you sweat or if you're ill. So there's another thing you don't need to buy. Unless what? Unless your doctor told you you need to drink them. Then you do. You always do what your doctor tells you, regardless of what I tell you. Pat, you had a thought. Yeah, I know what you mean. So, all right, so we're adding water to things. We add water to make oatmeal. We add water to make rice. Do I count that as my water? Not really, because the grain absorbed the water. And your body do you want to eat dry oatmeal and dry rice? No. No. Right? Because it's going to absorb the water in your body. So, but they do both provide great fiber, and your body will take some liquid out of it, but no. Doesn't count, sorry. Keep drinking that bottle of water. Right? We have a few more minutes for a few more questions. Yes, I see a question way in the back. So the question is it better to eat the fruit first or the vegetable first? And bread. Bread.
This is better.
I don't think there's a better or worse. If you're going to eat it all at one meal, it's all going in the same place. It's all going in the same place. Your body will choose which part to digest first. But there is some studies that say maybe eating the fruit first, help digest the fruit first, and then it really doesn't matter. It's all just going to get mixed up. So, does that answer your question?
I think the point is if I start with
Oh, yeah.
I
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. So, right, that's even better. So, correct. If I eat my fruits and vegetables first, there's not as much room in my belly for the bread. Perfect. Yes. Right? So, if I eat those vegetables beforehand, before I'm full, Is there an order you should eat your food? Think of your plate as a clock. First we eat the vegetables, then we eat the protein, and then we eat the starch. And if you're hungry and you have to go back for seconds, what should you get seconds of? The vegetables. Yes. Yes. We're going to be such healthy eaters this year. We're going to be such great shape, so well, right? What is the one food that you wish you liked but you can't make yourself eat? Anybody have one of those? Mine is lime. Somebody said fruit. Mine's lima beans. Can't do the lima beans. So you put it in a soup and nobody knows it's there, right? I'm done. What's that? I'm about done. All right. So before we run out of time, any last questions? Any thoughts? So here's a resource. I don't have it on the slide, but here's a resource for you. It's called myplate.gov. And it has that image in several languages. It shows fruits, vegetables, protein, starch, and a little thing for dairy. Remember, the dairy's optional. And it will help you, guide you. Everybody put up your hands and show me the size plate you serve yourself dinner on. Somebody just put their hands out this wide. So how big is the plate you serve yourself dinner on? Stop me when I get there. Stop. How about here? How about a luncheon size plate? Smaller. If you filled that plate, does it look like so if you've ever been to a buffet and there's all these foods and you have a small plate, does it look like the plate is overflowing, right? If I have a big giant plate and I try to regulate my portions, do you feel like, an awful lot of plate and not a lot of food, right? So smaller plates is one way to help yourself feel fuller sooner. Yes. I think protein drinks or powders. Okay, so that's a really good question. We always want to try and get our nutrients through food when we can. My osteoporosis people, you've heard me say this, right? You're going to try and get your calcium from your food if you can. So the same goes for protein. If you can is the important part. Some people just don't get enough protein during the day, and they need to supplement with something, whether it's a drink or a powder. They make the pre-made drinks, and they're the same thing. It's just one's a powder version, one's in a pre-made container. If that's what you need to get the protein in your body, then that's what we need to do. We could start adding additional protein. What are everybody's favorite protein foods? I heard steak. I heard chicken. Fish. I had shrimp the other night. How about cottage cheese? High in protein. How about Greek yogurt? Careful of the sugar, but yeah, Greek yogurt. Tofu. Beans. Nuts. Seeds. Eggs. Perfect. Yep, dairy products, right? Eggs, right? All of those things have protein in them. Tuna fish, right? Anybody here scrambled egg eaters? If you're eating scrambled eggs, you could put a tablespoon or two of cottage cheese in your eggs. You won't even know it's there. It melts right in, and it makes it high protein. You're shaking your head, and you haven't even tried it yet. You haven't even tried it yet. Yep, any kind of cheese will melt in there, but cottage cheese mixes right in with the eggs, and you don't even know it's there, and it's really high protein. Okay. Anybody have fruit as a dessert? Except my fruit not lovers, the people that don't love my fruit. I could take a bowl of fruit and put a little bit of yogurt on top. Now I've added some protein. I could sprinkle a little bit of nuts or seeds on top. There's a little bit more protein. Dried fruit. So what does dried fruit have a lot more of? Sugar. So a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. All right, so I have, I think, one more slide for you. It's nothing exciting, I assure you. Okay. This is me. This is how you can find me. This is my email. It's primemovementemail@gmail.com. I'm up on the second floor. I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If that's not a day that you're here, flag me down today. I'll be here for a little while. So I'm going to turn you back over to Suki. Thank you for your time and attention today. Well done. Good job.
Thank you, Rhonda Hammer.